This question is going to come up right at the start of your AML and KYC job interview. This is the organization's chance to assess the type of person.
Which documentations is required for the background verification, how exactly it is done, which company do that, right? And if it fails, what exactly happened to you? And if got passed, what exactly will happen?
Know your customer or know your client is where a financial organization takes proactive steps to verify the identity and suitability of an. Ultimately, KYC forms part of AML, and they should always be carried out in conjunction with each other during the same process. KYC,
because the verification was passed somehow. I don't know how they have this salary script, how they are managed to create the PF account and everything, but I am not sure about this, how exactly they have done, but it got passed.
A well-rehearsed cover story is the single most valuable asset when facing high-stakes regulatory scrutiny. To justify millions in unexplained wealth, organized crime figures often masquerade as highly paid corporate consultants, crafting a pristine resume of mock skills to satisfy bank investigators.
And why you want to become a consultant. Now, because this is going to be the first question of your consultant interview, make sure you get off to a flying start by listing the qualities and the experience you have that will add value to their organization, and that is very important. Here's a great answer to assist you. Over the past few years, I've been working hard to further develop my skills as a consultant.
Legitimate consultants ask tough questions, but the mob's fake agreements only require a matching story. Polished defense. 2 past deep audits. A fake consultant's invoices must perfectly mirror legitimate corporate metrics, down to calculating operating margins and free cash flow projections.
Let's start with just general finance technicals. Can you walk me through how you go from revenue to free cash flow in the projections?
Yeah, of course. So starting with revenue, you subtract cost of goods sold minus operating expenses, which brings you down to operating income. At operating income, you multiply that by 1 minus the tax rate to take you to net income.
If your shell company's financial math doesn't add up, the IRS or tax authorities will immediately flag the entity for auditing. Mob accountants will even draft realistic business expansion strategies, mimicking corporate restructuring plans to explain why a client paid them 6-figure retainer fees.
For today's case, you actually have a maker of Botox that is considering expanding into the migraine market. And they've already begun clinical trials in this area. The product is expected to receive FDA approval at the end of the year, and your team has been hired to assess the viability of the product launch. So essentially the question is, how would you determine if Botox company should enter the migraine market?
Designing complex market entry case. Studies gives a fake consulting gig the perfect veneer of elite corporate utility. Even entry-level associates in a money laundering scheme must know how to act like junior business analysts, memorizing corporate lingo to survive. Basic compliance interviews.
Going into any job interview, I like to think about the objective of the interview from the point of view of the interviewer. Now, I'm applying for a job as a junior SAP consultant, which means I don't have a lot of technical knowledge. So most of the questions will be based on the meaning of the job that I will do, that I understand what is an SAP consultant, the basic technical aspects of SAP, and the basics of business processes. And of course, communication.
Understanding basic business processes is the ultimate armor when bank compliance teams start asking hard questions. To spread out the risk, syndicate members often hide behind various high-paying freelance services, utilizing translation or consulting agencies as their ultimate cash-out portals.
I earn between £2,700 to £3,000 a month. This depends on how many hours I work. This is through working as an over-the-phone interpreter for a translation service agency. Most of my clients, around 80% of them, are healthcare professionals, such as doctors, nurses, midwives, caregivers, and the ambulance. Rest of the 20% of my clients are from Metropolitan Police in London, UK, or from FBI in the US, and also
lending illicit funds into global freelance agency. Structures make striking the dirty cash incredibly difficult for federal investigators. When mob figures face bank screening, their cover story must withstand rigorous anti-money laundering and know your customer vetting. Protocols.
That is, tell me about yourself. So this question is going to come up right at the start of your AML and KYC job interview. This is the organization's chance to assess the type of person you are and the skills and experience you possess that will add value to their organization. Make sure you give a confident and positive answer that helps to build a connection with the interviewer. So,
Confidence during a bank's background screening is what separates a successful laundering operation from a federal indictment. Master money launderers look far ahead, shifting their focus from rock ash collection to building stable, multi-tiered wealth portfolios that appear completely legitimate.
Including 3 numbers that everyone should know when it comes to their personal finance: 65, 20, 15. Just knowing that creates a better life for yourself.
Nisha Shah is the former high-profile investment banker turned financial mentor,
whose content has helped millions rethink their relationship with money,
break free from crippling debt,
and take the first steps toward building lasting wealth.
Everything is trying to pull you away from your money.
The ultimate goal of clean wealth is keeping it safe from the relentless grasp of government tax agencies. When a front company's reported profits fluctuate to sharply more, accountants must quickly engineer elaborate corporate consulting scenarios to explain the volatility.
Case statement is, our client is Harley Davidson Motor Company. Their stock price fell from $54 a share to $49 a share on news of declining profits. What's going on and how can we turn this around? Typically, na management consulting cases ऐसे ही होते हैं, like one statement, and then you have to ask a lot of questions to find the answers to different parts, whichever.
Every corporate crisis or drop in valuation requires a deeply detailed analytical explanation to keep external auditors satisfied. Underworld fixers thoroughly analyze corporate background verification systems to determine how easily a client's fake consultant history can bypass digital security.
I'm going to discuss about my personal point of view. I have seen positive and negative both the scenarios, right? We are going to discuss that. I know many of you will have this question, sir, which documentations is required for the background verification? How exactly it is done? Which company do that, right? And if it fails, what exactly happened to you? And if got passed, what exactly will happen to you? How much time it takes? And I'm going to discuss about a very important thing also. Do you have to add this fake experience and everything into this? All these things we are going to discuss.
Finding the cracks in employment. Verification processes allows launderers to insert fake corporate histories with near-perfect safety, setting up fake corporate clients in foreign jurisdictions like Southeast Asian manufacturing hubs provides a robust shield for massive consulting invoice payments.
Today's case is going to be about our client named Simio. Is a large cement manufacturer in Indonesia. They are quite big in size with $1.5 billion revenues. But recently, in the past 2 years, they had an issue where they saw a big decline, in their profits.
International corporate structures offer the perfect disguise for routing multi-million-dollar consulting fees away from domestic eyes. Organized crime recruits are meticulously coached to handle standard bank compliance questions about why they want to work with specific offshore firms.
Working here as a consultant, and I feel my experience and skills would be a great fit for your already established team and also the long-term vision you have in place. That's another brilliant answer. To that guaranteed interview question, why do you want to work for our company? The next question, what can you bring to the role? Again, I can pretty much guarantee this question will come up at some point during your consultant job interview. So,
a well-rehearsed cover story is the single most valuable asset when facing high-stakes regulatory scrutiny. Fake consultant networks must understand complex corporate calculations like the weighted average cost of capital to maintain credibility with high-level tax auditors.
Public company, I would use the weighted average cost of capital for the discount rate.
Okay, and how do you calculate that?
The equation to calculate the weighted average cost of capital, and I'll use WACC from here on forward, is the cost of equity times the percentage of equity plus the cost of debt times.
Sounding mathematically proficient protects the shell company's leadership from deeper, more invasive financial audits. Laundering syndicates often target highly lucrative niche markets. Drafting mock studies for product viability to justify large movements of offshore cash.
Botox, and they are considering expanding into the migraine market. And the product they're working with is going through the trial process now, waiting for FDA approval. And our main goal here is to figure out whether or not it's viable or not to enter the migraine market.
That's correct.
Okay, awesome. So before we get started, just wanted a little bit more information about the product.
By framing illicit transactions as early-stage market research, mobsters can safely transfer funds under the guise of developmental investment. To maintain their cover, fake consultants are required to generate mountains of mock documentation, business process maps, and training manuals.
Every point in it. What is being an SAP consultant? You have to understand the business process of the customer. You have to implement it in the system, deliver training, do testing of the system, and do documentation in all the project phases. And documentation is a very hectic and a very time-consuming activity. So normally the interviewer needs to confirm that the applicant understands that he will have to do different activities.
Generating highly tedious, realistic business paperwork is a mandatory chore to keep bank compliance audits happy. For maximum stealth, some networks utilize legitimate translation agencies to process global wire transfers as standard service invoice payments.
Hello, this is Zeliha, interpreter ID 00 for Turkish. This call may be monitored for training and quality assurance purposes. Is your customer with you, or would you like me to call them for you? Hello, interpreter. I'm a doctor working in a GP surgery, and I'm here with my patient who's a baby and his dad. Could you please ask the dad what's the problem and how can we help him today?
Exploit. Clean Everyday Professional Services provides the ultimate camouflage for moving money across international borders. Knowing exactly how bank compliance analysts define and run your customer checks allows launderers to craft bulletproof corporate profiles.
What do you know about KYC? Know your customer or know your client is where a financial organization takes proactive steps to verify the identity and suitability of an individual or company that will form part of a business relationship. The KYC process involves assessing the risks that are involved with maintaining a business relationship with the customer or client and ensuring
passing KYC checks is the absolute gatekeeper of clean financial access without it any laundering network crumbles. Organized crime figures are advised to carefully calculate and match their lifestyle spending strictly with their reported consulting earnings to avoid attracting tax agents.
Of mind fund.
A peace of mind fund.
This is not about maths. It's not the mathematically optimal thing to do, but it is the psychological, because as we've discussed, money is as much about emotions as it is about numbers. So what I'd say is go through the last 30 days of your bank statements and calculate exactly how much it costs for 1 month of your living.
Matching your real-world lifestyle perfectly with your reported tax income is the key to flying under the federal radar. Laundering networks meticulously study market and industry benchmarks to ensure their shell company's performance matches general economic trends.
Before you even go to the profit and loss framework, start with the external questions. Very similar to what I just mentioned. So how is the economy doing? Is the stock price falling due to the market being down, or the motorcycle industry being down, or only Harley Davidson is going down? How are the competitors doing? These are the kind of questions that you will ask in the initial part.
If a shell company's profits don't align with local industry metrics, it instantly flags the business for deep IRS forensic audits. Elite compliance programs do not just check paperwork, they conduct physical site visits and direct employer verifications to weed out fake corporate histories.
To my home for my home verification. One of the person basically came to my previous employer also. Even when I have joined my first company as Accenture, the person basically emailed to my talent recruiter in the college itself. So college they have verified, they have emailed that yes, Pramod has worked or not, all the information they have asked, and until they have got the confirmation, they have not verified the background verification.
As background checks become more invasive, Launders must build increasingly sophisticated, active corporate shells. International networks deliberately restrict their fake consulting services to specific domestic regions to avoid triggering international transaction monitoring systems.
You say that they're based in Indonesia, but does the client have any international operations?
Yeah, they do have a slight operations abroad, but mainly in the region, let's say.
Do we know the split of their revenues?
Most of their revenues, you can suppose that it's in Indonesia.
Okay, all right. So for today's case, then, is that okay if I just only focus on the Indonesian business?
Limiting exposure to single, high-volume domestic corridors keeps the financial footprint clean and manageable. Underworld operatives masquerading as elite consultants will highlight stellar corporate performance records to explain massive luxury. Retainers.
The consultant, whereby projects and tasks are completed on time and to the right standard. For example, in my previous role, I always surpassed the targets of all of my performance reviews, and my manager often commented that the standard I worked to was an example for others to follow. I have extensive knowledge of your industry, which means I can bring a level of expertise for creatively and innovatively improving the business and also capitalizing on
Projecting unmatched professional capability is the ultimate psychological defense against compliance officers questioning your earnings. Advanced shell companies use complex debt structuring to make incoming dirty cash look like legitimate interest repayments or leveraged cash flows.
You use the leveraged free cash flow rather than the unlevered free cash flow in your DCF. What would be the effect of doing so?
The effect of doing so would calculate your cost of equity, and the free cash flows would give you your cost of equity since you're effectively repaying your debt back through interest payments.
Transforming illicit funds into debt servicing payments remains one of the cleanest corporate tricks in the laundering handbook. When presenting a shell company to regulators, mob accountants prepare deep structural analyses of market risks to justify why their consultancy exists.
Migraine market. There's three main factors I'm thinking about: the migraine market, financial implications, and just overall risks. So under the migraine market, I think it would be really beneficial to understand what the size of the migraine market looks like and what consumer demand is. Also diving into how fast it's growing, if it's stagnant, shrinking, just like the overall market growth.
A well-documented corporate research framework can easily mask the complete absence of actual business operations. Compliance interviews are often conducted in English by global banks, requiring foreign operatives to master specific international business vocabulary to avoid suspicion.
You will be interviewed in English because many customers are either English speakers or we are looking for English-speaking customers in international organizations, for example. So the interview will definitely be in English. You need to be ready with your introduction. You need to be ready with your vocabulary. So the words that you will use to explain the meaning of ERP, the different business processes, and so on. So be ready to speak about yourself and about the system and about the business in English.
Mastering the language of global trade is a critical requirement for any cross-border laundering operation to succeed. Some networks leverage global, round-the-clock freelance operations to distribute payments continuously, mimicking continuous, high-volume legitimate business.
I tell them I work as a freelance interpreter. I get paid for every second that I'm on the call for. So if I don't receive calls, then I don't get paid. But most of the time that I'm logged into the interpreter portal, I do receive calls because I get calls from both the US and the UK clients. So if it's nighttime for the UK and there is no translation services to do for them, then there is always calls coming from the US.
Exploiting multiple international, all time zones ensures that cash flow never stops, keeping compliance monitors confused. Laundering masterminds are highly aware that know your customer protocols represent only the initial barrier, while anti-money laundering transaction monitoring runs forever.
Answer. What's the difference between AML and KYC? Here we go. Ultimately, KYC forms part of AML, and they should always be carried out in conjunction with each other during the same process. KYC is the identity verification and risk management aspect of a client-business relationship, whereas AML is generally seen as a wider process involving transaction monitoring, enhanced due diligence.
Understanding the exact boundary between simple identity verification and active transaction monitoring is vital for evading banking detection, just as families must rank and eliminate high-interest debts too. Keep money from leaking. Smart money laundering systems prioritize sealing any potential security loopholes.
Any high interest rate debt. Because if you have savings of $2,000 earning 4%, but you also have credit card debt at 20%, you're leaking money more than you're making it. It's like pouring water into a bucket with holes in it and wondering why it's not going to fill up. So what you want to do is you want to take all of your debt that you have, rank it from highest to lowest.
Every unaccounted financial leak is a golden opportunity for forensic investigators to unravel a complex corporate shell network. Laundering syndicates set up multiple distinct revenue streams such as parts, merchandise, and services to prevent banking systems from flagging unusual concentrations of income
that the interviewer shares in this case. There are 4 revenue streams that Harley has. Number 1 is domestic motorcycle. Number 2, international motorcycle. Number 3 is replacement parts. And number 4 is merchandise, like bike merchandise. Now, percentage of total revenue for each stream, the interviewer shares it for the previous year and this year so that you can.
Splitting incoming cash flows across multiple product lines is a classic way to blend illicit funds into high-volume businesses, while some fake consultant schemes manage to bypass corporate verification through loopholes. The penalty for failure is a permanent regulatory blacklist.
Because the verification was passed somehow. I don't know how they have this salary skip, how they are managed to create the PF account and everything, but I am not sure about this, how exactly they have done, but it got passed, which is, I think, interesting, which I have seen. That's why I thought, okay, I'll give you both the scenarios. Multiple people I have seen with fake experience who are working. Multiple people I have seen who got rejected. They got blacklisted.
Resume and background fraud is a high-risk gamble. Passing keeps the game alive, but getting flagged means complete exclusion from the financial system. Organized crime accountants run deep qualitative audits of their front operations to pinpoint exactly which geographic segments or clients are underperforming or attracting attention.
To dig deeper in the root cause identification area, I would like to divide it into 2, quantitative and qualitative root cause analysis. On the quantitative part, we say that there is a drop of 8 percentage points in the margins. Does it come from the revenue drop or a cost increase or both? We should definitely take a look at this based on different revenue splits, based on customers, geographies, and such, if there is any specific segment that is suffering more than the other.
Keeping a microscopic eye on your shell network. Margins is the only way to catch compliance anomalies before the authorities do. Every unaccounted financial leak is a golden opportunity for forensic investigators to unravel a complex corporate shell network.